Great evening. Lakeisha McKnight is here. Welcome back to the Leadership TKO Night Show via podcast. Super excited to be here, actually recording live from Norfolk, Virginia, not in Chesapeake tonight, but Norfolk, Virginia. So again, thank you so much for those of you who are connected to this podcast. I know there are many of you from various countries around the world tuning in, listening in on demand, and some of you live with this podcast. I am going to share, right? Yes, indeed. I am going to share. We have a group on Facebook, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about that group in just a moment. A group on Facebook where many women are hanging out that's connected to this podcast. And so I'm going to let them know that I am indeed live so that they can join in live as I am here on the platform. So I'm going to say join in now as I am live on the platform. Okay. But again, thank you so very much for those of you listening in. It's just a blessing to know that God is expanding the territory of this podcast. I mean, we've come such a long ways. There's so many of you that so many countries I didn't know that this podcast is going to reach. And it's only because of God's doing it. So right now, I'm just going to acknowledge God. God, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you so very much for expanding the territory of this podcast. Lord God, let it be for your glory that all of these things manifest, that people's lives, women's lives are changed through this podcast. And so, Father, direct my steps and the steps of every female, every male connected to this brand in Jesus' name. And so we thank you so much. I thank you so much for those of you connected. I had to just stop and just acknowledge and give thanks to God because of what he's doing. He's doing so many amazing things. And if you're listening in, go ahead. You can reply, you can comment, you can like this podcast. If you hear anything that we share during the podcast episode that you like the episode. There should be a heart next to it somewhere. Like the episode. Let me know that you've enjoyed it. If you want to share a thought, if you have a question, there should be a chat area. Whether we're live or if you're listening on demand, feel free to leave a comment. This brand is actually housed under a limited liability company entitled the International Leadership Education and Development Company. This company, the mission of the company and the podcast is to partner up with small businesses, associations, and universities to build winning leaders. That's what we do. And with this brand, we have several subdivisions. Okay, we have the magazine. Of course, we have this podcast here. We also have Leadership TKO for authors. We have Leadership TKO for internet marketers, but we also have Leadership TKO for speakers. And then we launched Leadership TKO for women. Yes, for women. We launched that at the end of February, early March, and we launched it in Bangkok, right, in Thailand. And so if you know someone from Thailand, encourage them to get connected to the podcast because we launched this subdivision there. This is when I was at a women's leadership conference and I was invited to come out and speak there. And I shared a little bit of a manuscript that's turned into a book. And this book is being published, actually, in the United States in August of this summer. Okay, so stay tuned for the exact date for this book. We want it to be available in the bookstore, so we're excited about that. But I can tell you this, okay, that part of the manuscript was published in Bangkok, which means that all of the women, the 5 other women a part of this project, they're now internationally published authors. Yes. And those women are Takara Steele, Shalia McDaniel, Dr. Remy Douye, Maricela Messner, and Cheryl Harris Sutton. All of these women and myself, we're all internationally published authors, and we're just happy to be able to serve and to build winning leaders amongst women. That's what we're here to do. And so we're thankful. And I would encourage you to learn more about this subdivision, Leadership TKO for Women, by visiting the website, okay, which is leadershiptkoforwomen.com. You'll be able to learn all about this subdivision, which turned into a campaign, right? And this campaign is a women's global leadership campaign that's going to continue throughout the year of 2017. It may go beyond. We'll keep you informed. But the purpose of the campaign is twofold. Number one, to bring awareness to women's issues across the world, as well as solutions that exist, and to create new solutions, new effective solutions. That's what we're doing. And then also to unify women across the world, to celebrate one another and to build them up as female leaders. That's what we're here to do, a part of this campaign. And if you are in another country right now, you could be in France and Sweden. You could right now be in South Africa, Germany, in the Virgin Islands, Barbados, Pakistan, China. You could be anywhere right now. Korea, I might have mentioned, I'm not sure if I did, but all of these countries, Norway, Hungary, thank you so very much. And even if you're there in these countries, I invite you to join this campaign. Because we're standing up, we're advocating for women's issues such as human sex trafficking women into countries, right, for sex, and using them as objects instead of as human beings as we are. Right? We're talking about that. We're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about sexual harassment. We're talking about health issues such as lupus, heart disease, cancer, right? All of these things that plague the women around the world. We're talking about it. We're bringing awareness to it, but not just talking about it. We're taking it a notch ahead. We're thinking about the solutions that exist, bringing them to light so women know about them, but then also, right? Also creating more effective solutions. If these solutions out there are not working, let's talk about those things that we can do that can potentially work. Even if we need to create studies, let's do what we need to do to create solutions so we can live healthier lifestyles. We can do that together. Not just one person doing it for their own good so that they can be in the limelight. No, it's a unified effort. Let's come together. Let's join together as a sisterhood and make this happen. And you can join in with us. This is our campaign, not just Lakeisha McKnight's, not just Takara Steele or Maricela Messner's, not just Shalia McDaniels or Remy Duyer's or Cheryl Harris Sutton's. This is our campaign. And we invite you to join in with this campaign by simply going to a website, www.born2lead2017.com. The spelling of the website is www.borntolead2017.com. Join in on this campaign simply by going to that website. It's going to take you to a questionnaire that takes only 2 minutes to complete. It's going to send you to the Facebook group so that you can join us there. There are hundreds of women. I think about a little over 1,400 now. Our goal is to reach 10,000. Can you help us to reach 10,000? Can you help us to do that? We invite you. We encourage you to do that. Okay? We encourage you to do that. And so go to that website, share that website with other women that you know to get them plugged in as well. We would love to have a leader represent China. We would love to have a leader represent Pakistan. We would love to have a leader represent France and Hungary and Norway. All of these places. We would love to have a leader from your countries represent this campaign. Join in with us. Again, this is our campaign. This is our effort. Let's not just stop at the marches that took place earlier this year around the world. Let's continue this going. Let's keep it going throughout this year. So you can do that by going to that website. And then when you go to the website and you join the group, you're going to learn about many other opportunities. It just doesn't stop there. We have conferences, we have conventions. And our first convention is taking place in Portsmouth, Virginia, in the United States on May 27th from 10:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Simply go to www.leadershiptkoconvention.com. Register. And when you find the little area that says discount or promotional code, enter in the code Mother's Day. We're sewing a $125 ticket into your life. Simply enter the code Mother's Day. No spaces, no capital letters, no apostrophes. All together, Mother's Day is the code. Enter that in, and you're going to get a ticket to the convention. And so we would love to see you there. We're going to have strategic partnerships going on. We're going to talk about effective solutions to these concerns. We're going to talk about how we can come together more so as a sisterhood in various places around the world, even if we need to create an association for women that focuses in on these issues. We're going to do what's necessary to make it work. As God gives us strength and as he gives us the ideas and wisdom, we're going to make it work. I'm not one that gives up. I'm not going to give up on my sister. I'm not going to give up on you. So don't give up on yourself. This week we spoke about anxiety in women, ways in which you can gain relief from anxiety. We talked about the stages of anxiety. Okay. Next week, we're going to be talking about burnout. What is burnout about? It's sort of similar to some of the things we're talking about, but let's talk about burnout, where you're just completely burned out, and how to avoid that. Okay. We touched on it. Some of the leaders touched on it in the group this week, but we're going to focus a lot on that during the podcast next week. So we're going to talk about burnout next week. So be prepared for that. We may have some questions in the group that I pose about burnout in the group to get you all engaged. Okay. And we would love for you all to participate, not just on the podcast platform, but also inside of our group on Facebook. You can join the group once again by visiting www.borntolead2017.com. But there are many other opportunities to get involved. We have sponsorship opportunities. We have a leadership portal that you can register to get access to leadership training and business training. We just finished our first business training that was offered as a bonus because we reached a milestone. And that training was called Sales and Marketing 101. Really how to go about how the female entrepreneur can go about selling in the to modern day women. Okay, so we talked about that this week. And so the replay and access to that is going to be made available in the leadership portal. Okay. There are ways in which you can rise to positions of leadership within this campaign as a state ambassador or a country ambassador. When you enter the group, we share more information about that with you as well inside of the group. But you have to take it one step further first, becoming an official member of the campaign when you visit www.borntolead2017.com. So I don't want to sound redundant. I was going to shout out a couple of women who are doing some amazing things connected to the campaign. There are so many women in the group, but we're going to start strategically highlighting those women who become sponsors. Those are the women we want to give credit where credit is due. Those are the ones who are active, who are inviting women into the campaign. We're going to be acknowledging those women specifically on the podcast. Those who are active and doing things, but those who are just sitting around, we can't, of course, it wouldn't make sense to give you more credit because you're not really active. But for those who are actively inviting women, we're going to take note of you throughout each week, right? And we're going to acknowledge you because you deserve that credit. So, of course, this is a Friday evening here in the United States on the East Coast. I am, of course, going to prepare myself for my evening, or at least the rest of my evening. So again, be sure to come back here next week, Monday at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to give you updates about what we're going to do during the day of the convention. And with this podcast, we're going to do something special. So stay tuned for that. We're going to give you more details about that. For those of you who are in other countries and can't make it to the convention, we're going to give you some great information on how you can get the inside scoop on the convention as well. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening in. Be sure to join the campaign once again by visiting borntolead2017.com. And I look forward to coming back here on Monday to give you more information, more great content to empower you to become a strong leader. But until then, remember to think, speak, and live